Sorry, immediate coughing fit as soon as we hit the countdown. Hello, welcome to the stream. Let me just bring up my background music. So, welcome. Thank you for coming back. I did not turn into a Stardew Valley streamer. I'm still a tabletop streamer, I promise. And this week we're doing tabletop things. We're not quite returning to the regular schedule this week because this week is Morkin week. That's right, we are going back to Morkin, which I last played some months ago, and we'll return to the regular schedule next week. So just so you have something to expect for what might be coming up. Next week, which was going to be this week before I decided it was Morkin week, next week on Monday I will be tackling some sort of dungeon using a magic 8-ball as my resolution system. If you have lived under a rock for your entire life and have never encountered a magic 8-ball, it's like a bowling ball sized thing full of liquid that has a d20 in the middle, and on each face of the d20 it says something like "don't count on it," or "absolutely certain," or "ask again later." And you ask your question, you pray to the gods of fate, and you shake the ball, and these divine forces will inspire it to bob up such that the answer to your question is on top. So I'll be trying to actually play a game using that as the only resolution system. Friday next week, we'll be beginning the next campaign, and I'm keeping everyone, including myself, in suspense as to what that will be. It'll either be Ironsworn or Cal Arath, so tune in to find out more. And Saturday next week, I'm going to play a little Ars Magica, which is a system I fear I will never get to play or run a satisfying group game of, so hey, why not play it with myself? I'll be rolling up a party of wizards and their companions and henchmen and their cool wizard base, and we'll be situating that somewhere in medieval Europe. Another thing to mention before we get into it is I mentioned a few weeks ago, like 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I think, that I was getting a new model made. And just a brief update on that to say there isn't really an update. I got all the art a couple of weeks ago, but it is with the rigger, who is the person who actually makes the art move. So it'll be done when it's done. And when it is done, I'll do some sort of special stream to show it off and talk about like choices I've made, things I've learned from streaming over these past however many months it is, 6 months, I think. Yeah, just show everything off. But that is not this week, that will be sometime in the future. So let's get to Morkin. Now, Morkin was an early game I streamed on my channel. I say this as if I've been doing this for ages. No, it was 6 months ago. I streamed it in December. I began streaming Morkin in December, I think. And it lasted a few weeks. It was a lot of fun. I think it's probably the first solo system that really hit the sweet spot for me. Like, it hit the right note between being freeform and being procedural. Because one of the difficulties when you're playing a solo game is it's just you. You know, when you're playing with a group, people will come up with ideas. They'll come up with things you never thought of before. You can bounce ideas off them, and the game will go in unexpected directions. With a solo game, it's just you and the tools that the game provides to do that. Some games are on the more freeform end of the spectrum, like let's take Ironsworn as an example. Everyone knows what Ironsworn is. It's a massively popular solo game that uses a kind of Powered by the Apocalypse style system, in which you're playing a kind of Viking-y type person in a frozen Northland where iron is very important and swearing vows is important and all that good stuff. And while Ironsworn does have quite a lot of rules, you still have to basically make things up yourself. The rules will guide you, the oracle tables in the book will guide you, but it's on you ultimately to figure out what happens in your Ironsworn story. On the far opposite end of the spectrum, you've got a game like Kernathalis, which is all procedure. In fact, I was basically playing Kernathalis like a board game, where I never made a decision in Kernathalis because it's what my character would do. I was always just thinking of what's the mechanically optimal thing to do here, because there's no benefits at all to role-playing in Colonel Thalos. It's only a potential downside. Morkin, however, I feel is kind of somewhere in the middle. So it is fairly procedural, as you'll recall if you saw the previous streams. It has a fixed game map. Here it is. There are some rules for like rolling up a hex map as you explore yourself. I've not tried those rules, but honestly, a random map doesn't sound that intriguing to me. It feels like it's intended to be played on the map. It has a fixed quest. You want to get from point A, down here, the Tower of the Moon, up to point B, here, the Tower of Doom. You want to recover the evil artifact from the Tower of Doom, so you travel from point A to point B, gathering companions and facing the forces of darkness along the way. You get the evil artifacts at the end and you destroy it and you save the world, and you have a time limit to do this in. You can't really do a different quest in Morkin. Like that's what it's meant to do. I mean, you could, I guess, make up your own objective like that, but I don't know. It's kind of built around this one experience. It has a fixed list of events and encounters. As you move between hexes, we'll be rolling for things, and we'll be rolling on like a big list to work out what happens. And so it sounds very procedural from how I've just put it, but somehow role-playing in it doesn't feel weird or suboptimal. Morkin still feels like an actual character who has his own like goals and thoughts and opinions. Whereas in Colonel Thalos, your character just feels basically like a game piece. I'd say Across 1,000 Dead Worlds also kind of hit this note to some degree. Across 1,000 Dead Worlds is, of course, very mechanically involved, but in there I was role-playing. My character felt like an actual character, not just a game piece. And I'm not really sure what it is that makes it like that, like what Colonel Thalos is lacking that Across 1,000 Dead Worlds and Morkin have, because it's clearly not just how procedural the thing is, there's something else. So, as for the rules, it is a D100 skill-based hex crawl. You can see we have hexagons on our map here. Moving between them, one hex at a time. It's based on a 1980s ZX Spectrum game called The Lords of Midnight that I've never played, but apparently was very well received, and was, I guess, so well received, at least by one person, by the author of this game, that it got adapted into an RPG. Sorry, excuse my sudden silence as I keep coughing. So I've played twice now in my initial like Morkin games. The first time I got killed by a Moskrin, which is a kind of sturge-like thing, is a big mosquito thing. Let's just find a picture of the Moskrin in the book because it's a cool picture. Go Moskrin. Look at that. So I got killed by one of those. It was a very unglorious way to die. The second time, I made it to the Tower of Doom. I got all the way up here. I got the evil artifact. I defeated the Guardian, Morgrath the Ice Lord, but I didn't have enough time to actually destroy the artifacts. As I learned when I got there, that to destroy the artifacts, you either need two certain NPCs you can pick up along the way. They're powerful to just destroy it. Otherwise, you have to take it down to Lake Miro down here, which I didn't have enough time to do. So I dealt the bad guy a major blow by dealing with his fearsome commander, and stealing his magic crown, but I didn't actually save the world. Maybe I'll win this time. I certainly know more about the game going in this third attempt, so we'll see. I know that I need to find these specific people or build in time at the end to complete the quest. Now, the reason that we're playing Morkin this week, the reason for the sudden schedule change around midday, is because the sequel game is finally out. It's called I say out. It is on Kickstarter. That is the 5 Kingdoms of the Ice Mark. It is by the same author. It's got the same artist, and the art in Morkin is all very good, so I'm quite excited about that. It describes itself as an adventure and skirmish game in which you control a warband of up to 6 characters. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing what the combat system is like, as the combat did have some problems in Morkin, and we're going to use some alternate combat rules in this week's game just to adjust some of those issues. It's got hex crawling. It has a huge hex map. Let's see if there's a picture of the map. Let's look at all this art. It's so good. Let's see. Hex map. I got a picture. Yeah, here we go. So it's got this giant hex map. This is obviously way bigger than the Morkin map. It's got procedural dungeon generation, just like Morkin does. That was a lot of fun. It's got weird fantasy creatures. Look at this. It's got bone gnashes. It looks like a kind of hyena thing. We've got dragons, dwarves. It's got great art. I just think it looks great. And there's this quote on the website that I think is quite promising. It says, "Those of you who have played Morkin, the Lords of Midnight, will know that all events, quests, and encounters were predefined within the game." And indeed, they are. There is a list of 60 quests and 153 events in the book. In the 5 Kingdoms of the Icemark, in addition to a greater number of events, missions, and actions, which is good already because, I mean, Morkin didn't feel like it was, repeating. There is an entire chapter dedicated to optionally transforming the game into a complete solo role-playing experience, one in which you can create your own scenes, adventures, NPCs, missions, and monsters, unleashing your full creativity. It even includes a social combat system for negotiating with NPCs. That sounds really great to me. It sounds like Morkin, but bigger in scope. And if there's one thing I won't say no to, it's more Morkin, so everyone should go to the Kickstarter and back it right now. It has already passed its goal, but there's always stretch goals. I think the first stretch goal is at 15,000 euros, and it's like a little separate booklet on adventure design rather than just the chapter. Also, it comes with some online tools for managing the map and battle maps and things. So that's 5 Kings of the Icemark. Also, I should say I'm not being sponsored at all by this. The author hasn't talked to me at all beyond giving like a thumbs up on one of my early VODs. I just think it's a great game, and I want there to be more of it. It's purely selfish motivations. I want the author to succeed so that he makes more games I enjoy. Right, so Morkin. Let's jump up to the top of the book. Let's before we get into character creation, I am slightly adjusting the rules. So we had problems with combat last time where there was a lot of rolling and not much happened. It felt like big handfuls of dice were being thrown at the table with very, very little mechanical impact. So thankfully there are some alternate combat rules which are not going to look amazing on stream because the PDF is a different size. In which the author says that the most frequent comment he's received is that they love the game but the combat feels very heavy, which is exactly how I felt. And the issue is it's an opposed system where you're trying to roll under your combat skill but above the enemy's defense skill, and there may only be like a 30% chance of succeeding, and so you roll a lot, you miss a lot. It's not very satisfying. So we've got some alternative rules in this book. So firstly, I'm sure this will make more sense if we get into actual combat, but rather than interpreting the defense value as a percentage, as it normally is, we just take the first digit. So we divide it by 10 and round down. And then when we roll to attack, we just need to beat that number. So we're essentially rounding down the defense value. So if the defense value is a 36, we're attempting to roll above a 30. There's another rule here where we can essentially tick down the maximum defense value anyone in the combat can have, effectively limiting a combat to, well, after 10 rounds, every attack is going to land. So we might bring that in if combat still feels a bit slow, but I think just the rounding down of the defense value will already help a lot. And there are some group combat rules as well. So the way the combat works in Morkin, when you have a group of characters, is everything is added to this combat tracker here, but the NPC companions don't actually attack. They just provide you with skill bonuses. So they make you more effective, and they provide hit points to soak up enemy attacks, but they don't make attacks themselves. And so there were situations where I had like 1 or 2 companions, and we're facing like 2 or 3 enemies, so it should feel like an evenly matched thing, but because every enemy attacks and only the one PC attacks, in practice it felt like the enemies got a lot more turns than me, because they did. This group combat system fixes that, but I'm not going to use it. I've read it and decided not to go for it because the 5 Kingdoms of the Ice Mark, the upcoming game, has a group combat system, because it's a skirmish game with a group of characters. So I want to wait to see what the combat system is like in this. I don't want to try this thing, which is just going to be an earlier, less good iteration of the system. So we'll just stick with Morkin's slightly odd, like 1 character combat. And I think that's enough preamble. So let's fill in a character sheet, and I copied this from my previous Morkin game, so it's got loads of random numbers on it. But we can get started. So let's read the thrilling opening prose. So yes, I guess let's just look at the table of contents first, as you may not have seen this. So it's not a very long book in a sense, in that the rules end at page 66. That is the end of the rules. The rest of the book is all events. We have 153 events. We have quests. There are 60 quests. You can get these quests randomly as an action when you move between hexes. You might like bump into some NPCs who need something doing. Similarly for the events, you might encounter something going on. Some of the events are tied into these specific like numbered locations on the map. So like Lake Mirror here is number 9. It's going to have something special associated with it. We have a bestiary, and then just like a collection of tables. So it, despite being like nearly a 300-page book, it's really only got 70-ish pages of rules. The rest is all these like random entries you can roll up and use. It is a D100 roll under system, I think, as I think I mentioned, so it's very easy to know like what your chances of success are in a roll, which I always appreciate. And your skills will gradually go up as you improve and gain experience points. So, yes, as I said, it's based on The Lords of Midnight, which is a ZX Spectrum game from 1984. I've not played it, but it's apparently much loved. It does explain there are some differences from the computer game. The computer game particularly focuses on strategy and like warfare, whereas this game just follows one of the characters. This is a kind of necessary change to make a role-playing game, right? If it was a game about armies and war, it would be a war game. It wouldn't be a role-playing game. Oh, that's all totally fine. And we have this great opening, which just kind of explains the whole premise of the game on a single page. Let's just read this out. Start with a cool quote. "The Solstice War has begun." Doomdark. Doomdark, once known as Gryphon the Wise, was a cunning advisor among the Wise, a group of powerful sorcerers. He rose to power by serving Lord Ushgarak, whom he helped become a king. Driven by ambition, Gryphon betrayed and murdered Ushgarak, seizing the crown and ruling through fear and dark sorcery. Over time, his name changed to Doomdark, the Witch King of Midnight, a title that reflects the terror he inspired. Doomdark's power is drawn from winter's dark magic, gaining strength from the deepest cold. His ultimate plan is to unleash this power during the solstice, the longest night of winter, and launch a devastating assault on the free, those who can resist him, with both his icy legions and the ice crown, forged by Doomdark himself, which sends out an ice sphere that withers the minds of men. Morkin's mission, that's us, we are Morkin, is to undertake a perilous quest to find and destroy Doomdark's source of power, the ice crown. As Doomdark prepares to unleash his might during the solstice, the leaders of the Free realize that conventional battle alone may not be enough to stop him. Morkin, being half human and half Fey, is uniquely resistant to Doomdark's ice sphere. Though Luxor the Moon Prince, the leader of the Free, was initially reluctant to send his young son on such a perilous journey, Morkin's mixed heritage makes him the only one capable of resisting the Ice Crown's dark magic. His mission is clear: reach the Tower of Doom, seize the Ice Crown, and destroy it to shatter Doomdark's power, giving hope to the Free in their struggle against the Witch King. It's so fantasy, I love it. It's obviously fairly derivative of Lord of the Rings, as I said when I first did Morkin, but that's totally fine. Like, there's a reason things are derivative of Lord of the Rings. It's just great. But we have an evil sorcerer who created a magic artifact that contains much of his power and has a corroding force upon the minds of men, and we have a kind of not quite human person who has to go and destroy it because they're uniquely resistant to it. It's Sauron making the ring, and Frodo and Bilbo are the ones who kind of can resist it because hobbits are uniquely resistant to the corrupting power of the ring for whatever reason. He's even called the Witch King, the evil guy. I also love how his name was Gryffalon the Wise, but then he became known as Doomdark, the Witch King of Midnight. So at some point, people just woke up one morning and decided, you know, Gryffalon's a bit scary these days. I think he needs a more threatening title. But that's the premise. We have a limited amount of time. We have 30 days. We have a little time tracker calendar here that we will mark off once per day, and we can do 4 major things in a day, so time is pretty limited. And the Land of Midnight is a frozen realm where the icy grip of the Ice Crown holds dominion over the landscape. From the northern strongholds to the southern territories, the land is shrouded in perpetual winter. So we've got towering snow-capped mountains, endless frozen plains, dark icebound forests, and so on. It's very cold. There's still struggle between the force of light and darkness. And so hope is not yet lost, but it is waning. The book says then what we need to play with. Does it say? Yes, it says exactly which dice you need, which is good. I always appreciate it when a rulebook says you need these specific dice. So for this game, we need D6s. And I got some here of different colors. And we need D10s. Strictly speaking, we also need D100s. Though, of course, a D100 is just a D10 with an extra 0 on it. Where are my other D10s? Here we go. So I've got my D10s and D100s there. And it recommends keeping a journal, which we're going to do. We'll log things here. We get some kind of general explanation of everything before we get to character creation, which I think is quite nice. It then goes into more detail in the rules after that, but it's good to have an overview of the system, I feel, before you get into character creation, because otherwise it's difficult to make informed choices. So it tells us a bit about the map and what the different types of terrain are. So, for example, the plains, they allow for normal movement but leave you more exposed to potential threats, whereas the mountains are time-consuming and physically taxing. The forests are home to the magical Fae, who harbour no love for the creatures of the Witch King, so that might imply the forests might be, safer from horrible monsters, but maybe there might be dangerous Fae encounters if they don't like outsiders generally. We have downs, which are these rolling hills here. They slow down travellers and may conceal hidden dangers. And finally, we have the frozen wastes surrounding Midnight. So these are the big. Actually, they're not quite on this map. So you can just about see there's like some very pointy mountains here at the side. In the actual physical map, the map is surrounded by these big pointy mountains. That's just the impassable terrain. So really it's just saying you stay on this map. As we travel, we'll encounter various things, so we get a little bit of explanation on what each of these things are. I didn't actually visit all of these in my previous 2 games, so I don't think I've been into a henge or a snow hall. So maybe I'll prioritize checking those things out this game. Just see something new. And we have 12 special sites. So these are detailed specifically at the end of the book, and they all have special things going on. We do not need to visit these in order, or even at all. We start at the Tower of the Moon. We start at Site 1 here. We need to go to the Tower of Doom, Site 12 up here. This is where the Ice Crown is, but the others are all optional depending on choices we make. Got this very nice picture of the Tower of Doom here. The art in the book is very nice. As I said, it's all black and white, but it's very good despite that. And in the physical book, the offset print book from the Morkin Kickstarter, the colors are all inverted, so the pages are black and the text is white, and the art looks just as good color inverted because it is just black and white. So yeah, that's the goal. Get to the Tower of Doom, get to the top, destroy the Ice Crown. Sounds simple. Alright, character creation. Our world wasn't always white, Morkin. Okay. So there are no races, classes, or levels in this game. We are just Morkin. A young, half-human, half-fae, I suppose. Yeah, the only class in the game is Morkin. You are a Morkin because there's only one character. It's Morkin. It's got attributes. These will determine the starting values of our skills. But as I recall, we basically never roll for our attributes, we always roll on our skills. Right, so we assign 50, 40, 30, and 20 to these attributes. And I believe if I turn to the prices table, 30 is the sweet spot for charisma. Because if we have 20 charisma, we get charged more for everything. If we have better than 30 charisma, we'll pay less for everything, but I'm not sure I want to put my 50 or my 40 in charisma, but they're probably more useful elsewhere. We can also look at what our skills are based on, so they're all based on these attributes and possibly a combination of them to help us prioritize things. So charisma, it doesn't just make things cheap in villages, it's also good for animal handling, which I think did come up a couple of times in my last game. Mental toughness, but intelligence also helps with that. And persuasion. I don't think I tried to persuade anyone once in my last game. So yeah, I'm feeling charisma is... I'm going to put the 30 in charisma. So I'll get the standard prices when I try to buy things at a village, but I'll keep my better stats, my better numbers in other things. Probably the most important question is what do I want to be my weakest stat if it's not charisma? And so when I first played Morkin, my first character, they had charisma as the weakest stat, and it was a real hindrance. It was just hard to buy things. I started with less gear because even character creation is more expensive. So I think I maybe put my 20 in dexterity last time. I don't know about that. So let's see. Combat uses strength. So I don't think I want strength to be my weakest stats. There's also a lot of things that are based on strength. So like endurance, for instance. Defense ability, that also uses dex. So I think I don't really want intelligence to be 20 though, because you need intelligence for orientation. And orientation is what you roll to not get lost when you move between hexes. So if you have a low orientation, it gets really tough just to navigate. It's tough. I mean, I don't think there's any like bad choices. I certainly didn't get the feeling there was like an obviously best choice from my previous 2 attempts. So probably any build would work. It's just hard to decide. I think I'll put my... I don't think I built a high dex character yet. I think I had a very strong character and a very intelligent character. So let's go for a very dexterous character. Okay, so we'll go for 50 dex, and then which is going to be the dump stat out of strength or intelligence? Is there a ranged attack? There is not a ranged attack, so it looks like my only means of attacking is melee? Really? Let's have a look at... is that like a table of weapons or something? Yeah, it's swords and axes. So... So I can't compensate for a bad strength with a good dexterity, really, as when I get in a fight, it is going to be very tough if I only have a 20 strength. Let's see, you do also get points to add to your skills. Let's see how much that is. You can add an extra 50 points in your skills. So potentially I could have a low strength character and then just bump up like melee. That could be an option. And maybe rely on stealth to get out of combat. Let's see, what would a high dex, high int build look like? So they'd be very good at making camp, which is good because I kept failing those rolls. They'll be very good at disarming traps. First aid, fishing, foraging, lockpicking. It's a thief build, isn't it? That's what this is. High dex, high intelligence. Yeah, let's try it. Simply because I'm so wary about a low strength build, I think it might be fun to try. Okay. Right, so now we fill in the starting values of everything. So it's going to be a lot of typing. Oops. Okay, what is this? Dex over 2 plus int over 2. 45. Do I have any other dex int things? Yep. Let's fill out all the straight ones. So strength, strength, strength. Then we have int. Dex. And chat. And then here we have strength over dex, strength plus dex. So it's going to be 35. And then finally we have an int chat, which is going to be 35. Okay, that's all of them. Okay, so next we have an extra 50 points to add amongst these things. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I'm going to do what I did last time, I think, and just kind of probably add like 10 points at a time. So I got like 5 lots of 10 to add, just to make it a bit simpler. Okay, so what's the difference between might and melee? Might is for tasks that require brute force, such as pulling, pushing, lifting heavy items, or breaking doors. I'm more of like a stealthy lockpicking guy, so I don't think I need to break doors so much. But melee is definitely going to be useful, so let's add 20 points to melee, so I'll get that up to a 40. And we have 30 points left. I think I'll want orientation, bump that up, because getting lost really sucks. I found getting lost was a huge waste of time previously, so I don't really want that again. Defense, let's bump that up. Like, if I'm not the best at hitting, I can at least be hard to hit. And what's endurance used for? Because that sounds important. Resistance to damage, poison, disease, or extreme weather. Okay. So endurance sounds important. Yeah, let's bump up. Actually, I mean, endurance is resistance to these things. It's better to just not get hit, right? So if I bump my defense even higher, then I'll just be really hard to hit. But I suppose that won't help with like poison. Yeah, let's put 10 points in endurance. Okay, so when the game requires a skill check, you roll D100, and if you get equal to or lower than your skill value, you are successful. So yes, equal to or lower. That's what it says. I misread that as lower then. Okay. So if a bonus or a penalty is applied, yep. Opposed rolls, so on and so forth. And then we choose a mastery. This is a specialism that will improve something about us. So what we could be, a weapon master would help compensate for our bad melee. But generally in games, it's better to have a niche and excel in it than it is to try to be kind of mediocre at everything. In which case, yes, let's just rethink my skills having looked at that. Maybe let's move that 10 into defense. No. Let's move it into stealth. Okay, so I can't really take a hit, but I'm good at sneaking. Or if I am hit, I'm in a bad state. But I'm good at sneaking, and I'm good at defending. I think that's a good choice. What do I want to go for as my mastery? I don't think I want to go for weapon master, or I could go for shield master, but scout gives me perception. My perception is already 40. That's pretty good. I'm thinking either a shadow stalker, which increases stealth by 10, so I'd be at 70 stealth, and gives you a fog stone, which is a small enchanted stone that you can break, and it summons a dense fog, letting you retreat safely from combat. So that's one get out of jail free card. Or a locksmith, which gives me a +10 to lockpicking and adds lockpicks to my starting equipment, because I'm pretty good at lockpicking right now, but I don't have any lockpicks actually, so I couldn't pick a lock even if I wanted to. I don't know, being the super stealthy guy does sound kind of fun. They're both fun options. I think I'm gonna go for... it's so hard to decide. Like, if I don't go for the locksmith, I will need to buy lockpicks out of my starting money, because there's absolutely no point in building a character that's good at lockpicking if I don't have lockpicks. So you get 40 coins to spend on starting gear. Let's see. I hit my BRB button rather than my mute button when I yawned just then. Sorry about that. Okay, so you start with 5 lockpicks if you go for the lockpicky class. Lockpicky specialism, rather. That would cost 10 silver pieces. Which would mean I only have 30 to buy starting gear with. That's a decent chunk of the starting money. I'm going to go for locksmith, I think. So that adds a 10 to my lockpicking. That's now on 55, and I have 5 lockpicks. Alright, we have 50 HP. Our defense value is half of our defense skill. Rounded down if necessary, so that's going to be a 22.5, which is a 22. Fatigue, we start at 0 fatigue, and our max is our strength divided by 2. Ooh, okay, so that's pretty rough. We can only take 4 points of fatigue before we're like really slowed down. Bandages, we have no bandages. Rations, we have 5. Lockpicks, we have 5. Money, we have cha divided by 2. Okay, so we have 15 here. And we have an additional 40 silver coins to buy starting equipment. We can't save these. So we have 55 silver to buy our starting gear, but we can only keep 15 of it. And we start with a horse. There's no actual space on the character sheet to note that you have a horse, which is a bit unfortunate because not having a horse affects movement. So we'll just put up here, horse. Right, let's look at our starting gear. So we'll definitely want some sort of armor and weapon at least. We're in this 30 charisma band, so we'll get the standard price of everything. Not especially cheap, not especially expensive. It's kind of okay. And we'll start by spending from our 40 like free coins that we get for character creation. So okay, well the best armor we can afford is, I guess we could afford a scale mail helmet, but I don't want to. It's just as good as leather armor. We can also afford a shield, but again the leather armor is the better choice, so we'll get leather armor for 10. So we've got leather there. It has an absorption value of 1. A weapon. The two-handed weapons are significantly more expensive and they only deal 1 extra point of damage. I'm not sure if... I think I looked into this before and I couldn't find any instance where whether you have an axe or a sword actually makes a difference in the rules. So axes are just swords that cost 1 more. Unless I've missed something. Oh, I couldn't see anything last time. So let's spend another 10 to buy a one-handed sword. which does a d6 damage. So we have 20 of our starting equipment buying money left, and then 15 of our own money. Alright, let's see. So we could get a compass, which would give us a plus 10% bonus to the orientation skill. Our orientation is already 50. This is boosted up to 60. We could get camping gear. Camping gear, it sounds pretty good actually, because our camp is only a 45. And you need to succeed on camping rolls to be able to, camp. What else have we got here? We've got probably not a crowbar, so we're going to be picking locks, and we have lock picks. Thieves' tools gain a plus 10 bonus to lock picking, so our lock picking would then be a 65. That costs 18. That's pretty expensive. We have a bunch of these plus 10 to a skill items. Disarm traps. What is my disarm trap skill? Is 45. I think I'll pick up a fogstone because we don't start with one, and it sounds pretty useful. So the fogstone summons a dense fog that you can use to escape from combat with. That's 6. My first aid is decent, so I should probably pick up some bandages. Let's pick up... Okay, 2 gold gets you 5 bandages. We'll do that. 12 left before we have to dip into our own money. Rations. Yeah, let's buy another 5 days of rations. And I'm with my remaining money, I'm torn between this. Okay, I can't actually afford the camping gear. I guess that answers the question. I only have 17 left, including my own money. So I guess I'm going to buy the compass for 14. So I'll have 3 coins left, and I've got a compass. Which we will note down that we have a plus 10 bonus to our orientation skill here. Okay, I think that's it. So we're going to carry 6 items. We can potentially get a special backpack that lets you carry up to 10 items. And items stack. Right, advancement is pretty simple in the game, so every time you defeat an enemy, you get XP. It says in the monster stat blocks how much they're worth. Let's just pick an example. Let's go for a bandit. Bandit is worth 1 XP. Bandit Chief is worth 3 XP. We get XP for completing quests. We will see what sort of rewards we get when we get our first quest. And this, of course, stacks with the XP we get from killing monsters in the pursuit of this quest. Every time we get 20 experience points, we can increase in attributes by 1 point, which then affects all of the derived skills. So skills that rely just on the attribute go up by 2. So let's say our strength, we bumped it up from 20 to 21. Our endurance would go up to 22. So would our might, and our melee would go to 42. Skills that are partially dependent on it go up by 1 point. So our defense would go up from 45 to 46 in this case. So the advancing an attribute gets you more skill points than just the attribute does alone, because, in this initial set of skill values, the attribute points are worth 1 skill point, or half a skill point for these derived stats, whereas they're worth twice that when you advance. I'm not sure if there's any strategy there around like which skills you should get at character creation work versus which ones you should advance. Well, possibly there is. Also, when you roll a crit success on a skill check that is a 5 or lower, you immediately increase the relevant skill by 1. In combat, you can choose to increase either your melee or your defense skill. Right, I think that's a character made, so we don't really have much to go before we get into it, so we'll just look at this flow of play, then we'll skim ahead to get to the start. So the game is played in turns. I alluded to this before. We have 30 days to complete the quest. We have this little calendar here to track that, and each day has 4 quarters. And in each quarter we can do one thing. So we have all these little checkboxes to help us keep track of what we can do. And the procedure is, which isn't actually described on here, on this little cheat sheet, unhelpfully, is that you check the weather. The weather can affect things. So if it is clear weather, for instance, we'll get a bonus to orientation and camping rolls. We check if any characters in our group are suffering any effects, like if they're poisoned or bleeding or whatnot. The ice sphere will go up. So as we are on day 1, the ice sphere is actually 1. Let's just cross that off like so. An ice sphere of 1, which would be relevant in some social interactions. And then when you work through the 4 quarters of the day, so each quarter we pick one action, we do the action, and then we advance to the next quarter. At night, we mark off rations and wake up the next morning. The weather table, or the weather rather, we have a table here. It is also summarized here on this little journey tracker sheet. So it's a D10 roll, and on a 2 or 3, we have clear weather. 4 to 8, no effects. 9 to 10, we have a penalty. And on a 1, it is the same weather as yesterday. So I'm kind of curious what that makes the probability of each type of weather on any given day. Right? You could imagine, but you could potentially have like a chain of same as yesterday's, which would affect the chance of weather slightly on subsequent days. It's probably not a big effect, but it's there. And that's kind of it. We'll get into, if we do have a little flowchart here, so we'll get into more things as they come up. But yeah, also this is my favorite piece of art in the book, I think. It's just really cool. But yeah, the rest of this is all like how we deal with these actions we can choose, the procedural dungeon generation, companions, combat, you know, all the stuff you'd kind of expect in an RPG. And if you fall to 0 hit points, you die. That's it. Game over. Okay, let's read this start thing, then have a very brief break while I refill my tea, and we'll get to it. So, you begin your journey towards the Tower of Doom with the goal of destroying the Ice Crown, the source of Doomdark's power. You're alone, with no army to support you. However, thanks to your half-human, half-fey nature, you can endure the extreme cold emanating from the Ice Crown. As Doomdark's armies march south to conquer Midnight, all hope rests on your shoulders. It's Frodo carrying the ring. You know the direction you must travel. North. The journey will be perilous, and there is no certainty of your return. You start at the Tower of the Moon, located in the Forest of Shadows. That is here. So it then explains the map is divided into 2-mile hexes, and the Tower of the Moon is the hex numbered 1 here. First thing we do is check the weather. This is a D10 roll, and if we get a 1, which is the same as yesterday, we'll just have to re-roll because this is the beginning of time, this first day. 7. The weather is no effects. It's just kind of general, chilly, but not too awful winter weather. I can tell you exactly what it is. If I scroll back to the weather, 7 is rain. Okay, unpleasant, but we can deal with it. Since you're at one of the special sites indicated by a number on the map, look up the Tower of the Moon in the special sites table. So let's turn to a new copy of the PDF here. Go down the PDF table of contents to special sites. The Tower of the Moon in the Forest of Shadows. You find yourself within the ancient Tower of the Moon, deep in the Forest of Shadows, where the Council of the Wise has gathered in a final stand against Doomdark. With you are Luxor the Moon Prince, Rothron the Wise, and Korleth the Fae. Their mission is to rally the armies and defend the lands from Doomdark's advancing forces. Your path, however, is different. As one untouched by the Ice Sphere, you are tasked with journeying north alone to find and destroy the Ice Crown, the source of Doomdark's power and Midnight's eternal winter. The fate of the realm now rests on your shoulders. Okay. Right, the day is divided into 4 quarters. We can do 1 action per quarter. And then we have a little bit of advice. Since you are in a tower, and towers are vital for guidance and obtaining help, I recommend that your action during the morning quarter should be to seek. Mark the morning quarter and the seek action on your adventure sheet. So we're in morning, we are seeking. Then roll on the seek table. Let's get to that. So we're in a tower, it is a D10. We have different lists, whether we're in a tower, citadel and keep, a village, henge, lith, lake or snow hall, and ruin or cavern. So seek is the... I suppose I should quickly run through what these actions are. So travel is how you move between hexes. You can move multiple hexes in one go. It depends on the sort of terrain at which you start and whether you're exhausted or not, and if you have a horse. You can fish if you're at a lake to get rations. You can rest, in which you don't do anything, you just recover some hit points. You can forage for food. You can seek, which is the general term for interacting with a site. So if we're in a village, for instance, we'd roll on this village table, but generally the thing you can do in a village is you can buy and sell things at the markets. You can hunt for rations, and you can approach a recruitable NPC. And it's the same thing for all of them, except for at night, in which case instead of rest we have camp. Right, so it suggests we roll on the seek table for a tower, so let's do that. That is a 9. A voice calls, looking for the Tower of Doom, you must seek the Forest of Doom. You gain Thorn Shield for the remainder of this day and the entirety of the following day. Whenever any member of your group takes damage, the attacker suffers d6 minus 2, minimum 1 damage. Okay. This is probably useless to me, given that I've built a character whose strength is kind of in not getting hit, in sneaking around opponents, and having good defense. But we've got it anyway for now. Having completed your first action, you now advance to the afternoon quarter. Here we go. It might be wise to begin your journey north, so your action during the afternoon quarter will be to travel. As you are mounted and on planes, you can move 3 hexagons. Take an orientation skill check. If you pass, you can move 1 hex north. Next, roll a d6 to see if there's an event in the new hex. And so on. So then our adventure has begun, and it is just on us to get all the way up to the Tower of Doom, find the Ice Crown, and destroy it. So I'm just going to step away for a moment to refill my drink, and then we will do what it suggested. We will set off on our journey from the Tower of the Moon. We might swing up to number 2 here because there's an NPC you can recruit there. He wasn't very useful in my previous experience, but you never know. Right, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, let's get to it. Right, so we'll just follow this initial suggestion here. We shall make an orientation skill check. We have no modifier from the weather today. Our orientation is a 60 from our 50 in the skill and plus 10 from our compass. So we are rolling a D100 and want to get 60 or less. We got a 7, which is very good. Not quite a critical success though, which is a shame because if we had got a critical success, which is 5 or less, we'd have gained 1 point in orientation. And as I learned in my previous games, orientation, you want that skill to be as high as possible. Like, every skill is important, but orientation is super important. Right, so what did we do today? In the morning, we bid farewell to my father and set off on the quest. My father and I were companions. I bid farewell to my companion and good luck to my companions and to my father as they set off on their quest and I set off on mine. I heard a voice on the wind. What exactly was the seek roll I got? Something told me to seek the Forest of Doom. I assume the Forest of Doom is just the forest around the Tower of Doom up here. So I kind of knew that already, but okay. Nice, we've got the Plains of Death up here. I wonder why they call it that. Mountains of Gloom. Yep, yeah, it doesn't like there's a specific forest of... There isn't like a separate named Forest of Doom, so it is, I presume, just the one around the Tower of Doom. Okay, I heard a voice in the wind tell me to seek the Forest of Doom. I know that is my destination. I know that is my destination, but perhaps there's something in there other than the tower as well. Something in there I am fated to base other than just the tower itself. Okay, right, so orientation. Let's turn to the travel rules, because that will tell us about everything. So we passed our roll. We are starting in a plains hex, which means that we can travel 3 hexes per quarter of the day. And yes, I kept forgetting about this before. We actually got a plus 20 to the skill because we're on the plains. We have good visibility. So we definitely succeeded. Succeeded super well. We don't get lost. And we don't get any fatigue from traveling on horseback. So traveling through downs and mountains does give fatigue, and we can only have 4 points of fatigue before we start to suffer. So I think we're going to have to take a very flat route. So we can't go directly north because there's downs there. So I'm thinking it's probably worth thinking about the actual route. So I'm thinking I want to kind of swing up like this way, like through this pass here. We could go via this keep thing, and we got a lith over here, or Maybe we can even go to Moonhenge. Kind of come around. We're gonna lift here and then like around to the tower that way. So, oh, but there's a snow hole here, and I said I kind of want to check out a snow hole because I didn't see one in either of my previous plays. So, okay, let's actually... You know, I'm probably going to lose the game. It's quite hard to win Morkin, I feel. I'm going to start by... I'm not going to worry about time that much. I'm going to go like up via 2 here, around this mountain, and yeah, like kind of around that way. I'm going to make a beeline for this. We can... okay, we could go here, and then here to this lift, and then here to this snow hole. And it looks like we do have clear hexes along the side here we can move through, so we could move from there into the mirror henge, and then we have a little dungeon to explore here. We come up to another snow hole. We probably want to go to Miro from here to pick up supplies. Oh, that's traveling through a lot of downs. That's not amazing. Well, let's say we go there. We probably want to rest in Lake Miro from there. I don't know. We don't need to plan that far ahead. It's just good to know that we're going to start by heading up to number 2 here, where I believe we meet not Corleth the Fae, something the Fae, and we'll head then down to the Lith of Ashimar, and then along to this snow hole up here. So past our orientation roll, we can move a number of hexes. There's actually this handy reference PDF that I didn't actually look at all in the previous game. I don't know why, because it seems to have like everything summarized. So let's just see what it's got for travel. Yeah, it's just got all the tables and things without like all the explanations. So let's see, so we pass the skill check. Each time you enter a new hex, you roll for stuff. So let's turn to the main book. It looks a bit nicer. Okay, so we'll move here into these plains. We don't get any fatigue because it's a plains hex. We do not have any ice sphere encounters because of the ice sphere is only 1. We're not at a special site or any sort of site. So we then roll a d6 and we have an encounter on a 1 or 2. No encounter. And then we just keep going because we passed our orientation check, so we can move 3 hexes. I don't think we need to keep rolling. Maybe we're doing... Actually, no, I think we do need to keep rolling. Yes, we do need to keep rolling our orientation. So that's why high orientation is important, because we're rolling all the time. Okay, let's see. So I have a plus 20 because we're on the plains. So we're rolling against 80. It's all good. Move north. No encounter. And then... now we're in a forest, so do we have a bonus here? We do not have a bonus, so it's just a straight orientation roll, which is 60. This will be our last movement of this quarter. We succeed, we still don't have an encounter, event rather. We move into a named location, so let's just note down that we travelled And now we're in location 2, so let's turn to the special sites table. Forest of Shadows, home of the Lord of Shadows. Here you meet the Lord of Shadows, a loyal ally to the Fae, eager to assist you. Lord of Shadow doesn't have a horse, so he travels by foot. Follow the companions' rules. So the way companions work is they're pretty straightforward. If we recruit them, they just give a bonus to our stats. However, they consume rations, and because this guy is on foot rather than on horse, he will slow us down. So I'm not sure we really want him. Let's see what he gives us. Lord of Shadows. Okay, he's going to give us a bonus to +3 to melee, +2 to defense, +1 to damage, +2 to perception. That could be handy. Foraging, and he gives us 6 rations. Sure, let's try recruiting him. Let's just see how much is he going to slow us down. So how far do we travel on foot? 2 hexes per quarter of the day. That's not amazing, but yep. Let's try recruiting him. So in the afternoon we shall approach the Lord of Shadows. So I guess we kind of find him in this forest clearing, or maybe he approaches us as we're moving through the trees, and we decide to stop and set up an early camp. As we're doing that, if in the afternoon we broach the subject of hey, there's an eternal winter going on around here, in case you haven't noticed. How do you feel about that? That sort of thing. So we now need to roll a d6, and we just need to not get a 1. Okay, cool. He joins us. In my previous game, I missed out on 3 companions because I rolled a 1 every time, and it was terrible. Okay, we have the Lord of Shadows. Let's note him down. And his stats are... Let's just copy him. I guess we'll write it down, actually. So he has 35 max HP, 35 current HP, +3 melee, +2 defense, +1 damage, +2 perception. Actually, no, we don't need to note down all these things. We just really need the current hit points, and then I can update my skills. So I've now got 6 rations. So we're on 16, which is pretty good. Though we'll go through them twice as quickly now. Bonus of 10 to our foraging. And then what were the rest? It's melee, defense, damage, perception. It's enough to bump us the next defense value. And let's fill up this combat tracker because we will need this at some point. So our melee is now 43. Defense is 23. Absorption value is 1. First aid is 40. And perception is 42. We also have a damage bonus of +1, I believe he was. Yes. Okay, so he joins us, and I guess night starts to come around, so it is time to... That's what we did in the evening. We approached him. And night comes around, so it is time to camp. Am I going to have terrible luck with camping rolls like I did previously? Because camping is really important. Okay, perform a camp skill check. My camp is a 45. 74, amazing starts. If you fail, roll on the camping trouble table. I don't think we have any... yeah, no particular modifiers. Okay, camping trouble table, here we go. It's already off to a bad start. First night, and we have camped in a very wet area, causing some of our rations to spoil. Remove D6 -2 rations. Oh, I also need to mark off 2 rations because both I and my companion will have eaten. Okay, we only lose 1 ration. That could have been much worse. Right, okay, that was day 1. 29 days remain until the end of the world. Morning comes around. We pack up camp and yeah, get going. Lord of Shadows is like, yeah, don't worry about me, I'll walk. We need to roll for the weather. I wonder whether the weather will be clear today. 9. Heavy wind / heavy snow. -20 to all skill tests. Make an endurance check. 29? That would have been a success, but I thought, no, I'll put my extra 10 points in something else. Okay, so it's just a -20 in all skill checks. As we get up and there's just like snow like moving horizontally into our eyes. The wind is just that bad. We know the direction we want to go. We want to go like basically west to get to the Lith of Ashimar. So hopefully we'll be able to make it there. Let's make our orientation skill check. That is a 68, which I do not believe is a success, especially with the -20. Yeah, I'm rolling against a 40 right now. So that is a failure of the orientation check. If you fail the check, roll a d6 and consult this handy picture to determine what happens. We veer 1 hex to the left of our intended destination. So we were trying to move here. We have ended up here. That's still okay. We also need to roll for an encounter. No encounter. Okay. I believe that's all I need to roll. Let's just double check. Yeah, it's all fine. Okay, so we can still move 1 more hex. So we're going to try to move northwest again. We succeeded the orientation check that time. And we do get an event. So we move here. Then we have an event. So we need to roll on the events table. Which, this is a hyperlink, but I'm going to look at it in another tab. So I can easily flip between things. Right, events table. Okay, so this is a D66 roll. 65, we are in the forest. Event 61. A direwolf. As you travel through a dense patch of forest, the wind carries the sound of distant howls. At first, they're barely noticeable, but soon you realise that the howls are drawing nearer. You stop in your tracks, listening intently. The growls echo around you, deep and guttural, unmistakably belonging to a creature far larger and more dangerous than an ordinary wolf. Before you can react, a massive direwolf emerges from the shadows, its eyes glowing with a fierce intelligence. The beast stands its ground, its fur bristling and its lips curled back to reveal razor-sharp teeth. You can sense that this creature is not alone. Faint shapes move in the underbrush, lesser wolves lurking nearby, awaiting their alpha's command. You must act quickly. If you choose to fight, prepare for a combat encounter with the direwolf. The creature fights ferociously to protect its territory, and its attacks are swift and deadly. If you attempt to calm the beast, you may perform an animal handling skill check. I don't think I'm good at animal handling. Got a 30, that's not great. You can offer 2 rations to help placate the direwolf with food, increasing your animal handling skill by +10 for this check. I don't really want to offer it food. I don't have that much food. I'm still far from likely to succeed, even if I do offer it food. So I think I'll attempt to placate it, and then we'll just have to fight it. So this is what the events in Morkin are like, and they all like describe a situation and give you like a choice of actions. Some of them lead to like quests. Some of them just lead straight into like an encounter, but this sort of thing. Okay. Right, so my animal handling is only a 10 because I have a -20 to all skill checks because of the weather. Ooh. Yeah, that's a massive fail. It lunges at us, leading to a combat encounter. I think it's time to use the Fogstone, actually. Let's check the combat rules, see if I can use the Fogstone just immediately, or if we have to, like, do initiative or something. It's a great picture. Combat in Morkin is melee, close range, and without cover. Fleeing before combat. If you wish to avoid combat before it begins, ensure the enemies haven't spotted you. Right, so it's too late to roll stealth. Alternatively, you may throw a Fogstone to escape without rolling any dice. Okay, let's do that. Just mark off this Fogstone, because I don't fancy my odds in a combat where I have a massive penalty to my rolls. I guess I need to update my journal for what happened previously. So I journeyed through the forest. Afternoon, I set off on my quest, making good progress. After a few hours march, I encountered, I suppose, is the word, a Fae who introduced himself as the Lord of Shadows. And led me to a good place to rest. The Lord of Shadows, have I discussed the state of the world? No, the state of midnight. And he was eager to do something about it. He has joined my party, and we approach the quest together. A damp night. Thankfully, only one ration was spoiled. Curse this unending snow. Terrible, blinding snow. Coats everything and obscures visibility. We set off. towards the lith of whatever it was called, Ashimar. We set off west towards the lith of Ashimar, but it's hard to know if we're going in the right direction. A direwolf accosts us. A direwolf ambushes us, but I sacrifice my fogstone to buy our escape. Okay, so that was morning. We were traveling. I think we're going to travel again in the afternoon. Ideally, we'll make it to the lift today, which we could do. We could get there in the evening. We won't have time to explore it today because we need to camp, but we can get there. So let's make another orientation roll. That's a complete fail, and we got no encounter, but we do get a 1, which is veering off to the left. So rather than going here, we have gone here. Try to go northwest again. Fail. That was a 45, and I believe I'm rolling against a 40 right now because of the weather. Yeah. Okay, so no encounter, but we do veer off to the left, so rather than going here, we go here. So, not great. Okay, let's just, I guess, continue moving through the evening, then we'll set up camp at night wherever we end up. So, let's try going straight north this time. That's a failure. I believe that 3 is stay still. Yep. Alright, let's try going straight north again. 38, that's a success. We move north and we have an event. Turn to our events table. '41. We are on the plains. So it is event 49. A farmer. As you travel, you come across a farmer walking along the road with a cart full of produce. This is bad weather to be out with a cart of produce, Mr. Farmer. He explains that he's on his way to a nearby village to sell his goods at the market. Upon hearing about your mission, the farmer nods thoughtfully and decides to offer his assistance. He reaches into his cart and hands you 4 rations with a kind smile. Take these, he says. You'll need them more than I do. Add 4 rations to your inventory. Nice. So we bump into this kindly farmer, and we're like, we've been wandering around, getting lost like the whole day. It's like, here, have some carrots. Okay, so it's now night. That means it is time to camp. So let's update our journal. So afternoon, we keep moving, but I'm sure the snow has turned us around. Evening, little progress again, but we bump into a local farmer who helps set us on the right track again. And gives us some food. Okay, night. Can I camp? Probably not, because I'm rolling against a 25 in this weather. Yep, that is a failure. So we need to roll for a camping mishap. The area is very humid and the Moskrin won't leave you alone. N Moskrin attack you. N means the same as the number of characters, so that 2 Moskrin attack us. Let's check the weather. Is this going to affect our combat rolls? I guess it does. It doesn't say that it's only like traveling rolls. It'd be kind of unfortunate if they're killed by monsters on the very first night because of bad snow. But let's get to the Moskrin stat block. So Moskrin are these guys. They kind of make me think of Sturges. Except rather than like a proboscis, they just have teeth. The Moskrin is a giant mosquito-like insect that has emerged from the fearsome and frigid world of midnight, measuring 6 inches in length and with a wingspan of 1 foot. 6 inches in length isn't that big. I was imagining a giant creature from... I suppose there isn't like any perspective in this picture, but I was imagining something like the size of like a small dog, perhaps. But anyway, measuring 6 inches in length and with a wingspan of 1 foot, it boasts an icy blue exoskeleton and frost-patterned wings, providing excellent camouflage. This silent predator employs its toothed proboscis to feed on the blood of warm-blooded prey, injecting an anesthetic and an anticoagulant to ensure a painless and uninterrupted meal. Adapted to extreme cold, the Moskrin is a master of survival in its harsh environment. Right, let's get the combat rules up and remember how combat works in this system. So we can't flee because it has ambushed us, I suppose. Has it ambushed us? It does sound like we are being ambushed by Moskrin, so I don't think we can roll stealth to get out of this. The event things sound... They do seem to sound more like you stumble upon an enemy, you have to deal with this now. Yeah, I think we have to fight the Moskrin. I don't think it makes sense that if there's like Moskrin buzzing around and causing a problem, that we could just sneak away from them. So we roll an opposed... well, let's set up the combat tracker first. We've got our thing set up here. We have Morkin here. Font size 24. And we have Lord of Shadows here. Let's swap him around actually, so they'll go for him first. He has 35 hit points. I have 50. And we have some alternate combat rules. So we're essentially rounding the defense values down to the nearest 10. So my defense value is a 20 in this situation, rather than 23. And the Moskrin's is a 40. That's really high. Sorry, no, this is a 20. Sorry, yes. Okay, we've got Moskrin. Moskrin. These guys have 10 HP. They have a melee of 45. Defense value of 20. Perception of 30. I'm wondering about this -20 penalty from the weather. That does seem incredibly harsh in combat. Because that would mean I would need to roll above a 20, but equal to or below a 23 to actually hit a Moskrin. So I only have a 3% chance of hitting a Moskrin. And you could interpret it as also applying to the defense skill, in which case my defense value would also go down by 10. But if I'm massively penalized by the poor visibility, why aren't enemies? Yeah, I don't think this -20 makes sense to apply in combat. So I'm just not going to say it does. So what does it actually say? It's just all skill tests. Are combat roll skill tests? I don't know. Anyway. Okay, initiative. So it is perception opposed. My perception is 42. The Moskrin's is 30. We rolled exactly the same. We both rolled 50. In the end of a time, Morkin wins by default. We made it all the way down to the penultimate bullet point. Morkin wins, he attacks first. Okay. Right, so I have 10 action points. I can spend these to do things. You do not get to keep action points across rounds. But a standard attack is 6 points, so you can only attack once per round. I feel attacking is the sensible thing to do. It's slightly annoying that you can't both attack and dodge in the same round, or attack and defend. So, I guess I'm just doing a single attack. Let's see. Yeah, so this isn't an opposed roll, it's just versus their defense value. So I want to roll equal to or under the 43, but greater than 20. There's a 40, which is a success. It's just a regular hit, not a critical hit, and so for damage, I do a d6 plus 1 damage. 6 damage to the first Moskrin. It doesn't have any armor. And it's now the Moskrin's turn. So I believe they have a little table of what they do. Yeah, they do. Everyone loves little tables. I do generally like little tables of like enemy combat actions. I think it's a good way to like add some variety to enemies rather than just, you know, like if you're deciding what an enemy does, it's just going to be an attack most of the time. So having a set of options you roll on a little table to choose from is quite nice. And I like that a lot of games have this now. Okay, looks like I'll need the D100 for its attack. Red D6 to determine what attack. So a red D6 to determine what attack it does. The D100 for its melee roll, and we'll go for a white D6 for its damage. So it is doing a normal attack. It rolled a 19, which is below my defense value, so that is a miss. Then we have Moskrin 2. It got a 98, which is a miss. Is that a fumble even? No, a fumble is when you roll 100. Okay, my turn. So I will just attack the wounded one again. 20. That is equal to its defense value. So that is not a success. Okay, back to the Moskrin. That's above its melee value. That's a miss. This is a critical hit. Let's see, critical hits for enemies. See the profile of each enemy. Yes, critical hit. Here we go. The Morkin lands a precise bite, draining a significant amount of blood. The attack deals 4 HP damage, and the Morkin heals for 4 HP. I think this might actually go off Lord of Shadows because it's the first roll to hit. Let's just have a quick look here. Something about the like combat order. Yeah. Each time an enemy successfully attacks and deals damage, the hit will be taken by a different member of the defending group, following the established order. So even though the Morkin have made numerous attacks, this first to actually hit, and so it is Lord of Shadows who takes the damage. And let's have a little like token here to indicate that I'm now in the firing line for the Morkin. And I believe it's the second Morkin's turn. Unless that was the second Morkin. I don't think it was the second Morkin. Actually, no, it was the second Morkin, wasn't it? So, this guy's already at max HP. Okay, right. Well, it is now my turn. 13 is a miss. Now it is the Morkin. So yeah, there's quite a lot of rolling in combat. 22 is a miss. 85 is a miss. My turn. 35 is a hit. That's a 7 damage, so this one is dead. $45. Just barely a hit. It's going on Morkin. This is, they're doing attack 6 for 2 damage. Blood drain. The Morkin drains your blood, reducing your health and transferring it to yourself. The Morkin recovers the same amount of HP. Okay, this one's still on max HP, so it's not going to recover any health. But it does knock me down to 48 hit points. Now it's back to Lord of Shadows as the target. Miss. Miss. Hit for 1 damage. Also, I had 1 point protection, so that was actually only 14. 9. Like, this was also protected by 1. Okay. Miss. Morkin's turn. 26. Hit. It's doing the same attack again, so it's 4 damage, which becomes 3 damage because I have 1 armor. And this heals by 30 hit points. This goes back up to full health. Alright, me. Miss. Morkin. 49. Miss. Me. Miss. Morkin. Miss. Miss. Oops. Miss. There's definitely a problem with the Morkin combat system where we've just had how many attacks that were just misses? Miss. I feel the numbers you need to roll are too low. Miss. Miss. Like, it feels basically random who wins a fight. Miss. 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 42. Yes, that only is just barely a hit for 5 damage. But yeah, the chances of hitting are quite low. So I have a 23% chance of hitting, which is pretty bad. It has a, what is this, a 22% chance of hitting? Because you need to roll equal to or below your melee skill, but above the target's defense value. Miss. 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 22. Miss. Miss. 39 is a hit. Okay, but it's only dealing 1 damage, which is absorbed by my armor, so it actually does nothing. Alright, back to just ineffectually punching each other. That's 100, which is a fumble. Okay, finally something has happened. I mean, it's me fumbling, but it's good that something has actually happened. Okay, what happens? It's a d6 table for fumbles. Got a 3. You fall and lose your next turn standing up. Okay, so the Mosquit's going to get 2 turns in a row. Miss. And miss. Okay, now it's my turn again. I think also Lord of Shadows is the next to be hit. Miss. 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 43. Yes, that does hit. It's doing attack 4 for 6 damage, so that's 5 points of damage. Okay. But yeah, the Morkin combat does feel somewhat like see, that's also miss 48 Gs. It just feels very drawn out for what actually happens. I'm just rolling many dice, and not much is really happening. 24. Yes, that is a hit, but again, it's a hit of 1 damage, which is absorbed by my armor. $25. Have I hit it? I did hit it for 2 damage. Okay. Nope. So I'm curious what the combat is going to be like in the 5 Kingdoms of the Ice Mark, given that has a, as it says, it's got like a squad-based skirmish combat. It has skirmish combat with battle maps and more characters involved. So I assume something has been done to avoid the like massive sequences of misses that you get in the Morkin combat. Otherwise, that will drag on quite a bit. Okay, that was a 45 to hit, which is a hit, but again, it's for 1 damage, which is absorbed by my armor. $25? Yeah, okay, that's 1 more point of damage. But it feels like we could just basically flip a coin at this point to decide who wins the fight, and it would be about as engaging. Okay, finally, I killed the thing. Whew, okay. Right, so there are two of them, so that's 2 XP. And it's 20 XP, I think, that you level up. Let's just double check that. Character progression, yeah, 20 XP accumulated, you increase an attribute by 1 point. And we get loot. Precious, precious loot. So we have 2 Morkin to loot. And we have 1 wing and 1 leg. We can sell these in towns. I'm not sure if there's our villages. I'm not sure if there's anything we can do with them, like, in the wild. But we have them. Okay, so that was our night time of day 2. Morkin attacked us in the night, but we managed to fend them off. Okay, I think I updated my... I don't think I updated my rations. That number looks too high, so let's just delete 2 rations here. And now we need to cross off another day and determine the weather. It's a 9 again. Another day of heavy wind or heavy snow. Another day of massive penalties to our skill checks. Okay. Right, I think we're going to have a very similar day to what we just did. We're going to try to travel. We're going to try to make it to the Lith, and then we will hopefully explore the Lith and camp at night. So where exactly are we? We are right next to it. We can potentially get there this morning, so let's try that. We're in the plains, which gives us a +20 to our orientation check. It is terrible weather, which gives us a -20 to our orientation check. So, you know, it evens out. We are rolling against a 60, which is pretty good. '53, we succeed, so we don't need this getting lost die. And we don't have an encounter because that is not a 1 or a 2. In fact, we don't even need to roll an encounter. I was wrong about that. We don't roll an encounter because we have arrived at a site. Okay, we are at a site. You may perform the seek action during the next quarter. Okay, let's do that. So, morning of day 3, we arrived at the Lith of Ashimar. We arrived at the Lith of Ashimar after an unexpectedly grueling journey. And here, now that we're here, we're going to seek. So we shall see what we can find in this Lith. A Lith is like a stone circle. Right, let's see exactly how it describes it. A Lith, ancient standing stones with potent magical properties. So previously, I remember I entered one in my last playthrough and repeated the day. I got reset back to morning, which was nice at the time, but wouldn't actually make a difference really here because it's only the afternoon. No, that's not the right table. This table. Lith. Okay. Let's see what we got here. 9. You have found the Cup of Dreams, which brings new welcome. Set the time to the morning of the same day. Okay, that's not really a benefit. I guess we just regain the morning. We entered the lift and saw the sun move backwards in the sky. Alright, time for Morning 2, Electric Boogaloo. We are going to now, I think, I want to make for this ice hall up here, because I didn't explore an ice hall in either of my previous playthroughs. So I'm going to try heading due north, and we're setting off from the plains. So again, we're just rolling against a 65, I want to say? No, just a 60. We succeed, we don't get lost, and we don't have an event. So we move one north. We can try moving one more north. We do not succeed. We veer off one to the right. So we somehow end up partway up a mountain. Which I think is going to fatigue us, which is bad. Oh no. 2 fatigue. I can only take 4 before I explode. My limbs will all fall off. Okay, right, so we leave the lift. We leave the lift and head north, but the driving rain and snow makes it impossible to know which direction is which. And somehow we find ourselves driven uphill. I only realize what is happening when I question why I'm clambering over a rock. Okay, that's not good, because if we are fatigued, we can't do anything other than just rest. So, given that we're so weak and feeble, I really don't want to get more fatigued. So, well, that was morning 2, so now on afternoon 2. So we'll try traveling again. And we want to go northwest. We can only move 1 hex, because we are starting in the mountain. That's a failure, so we try going here, we swing 1 hex to the right. We don't have an encounter at least, but I guess what this means is we try to make our way down the mountains, but we end up kind of working our way along them north as we try to find a safe path down. And we're unable to do so in the adverse weather conditions. We try to find our way back into the valley, but the rain slickens. That word, slickens. I feel like slickens should be a word. Yeah. I'm going to say that's a word, regardless of what the spell checker thinks. We try to find our way back down into the valley, but the rain slickens the rocks, leaving footing treacherous. We try to find another route. Or we seek for another route. But are simply driven further into the mountains. Okay, Morkin is now fatigued. So let's look at what fatigue does. I think it is just relevant to travel, probably. Okay, if your current fatigue is higher than your max fatigue, you cannot travel. So I can still try to travel. Just if I gain any more fatigue, I will be stuck. So I can make one more valiant effort this day to get down from the mountains. We'll be able to camp down in the plains. The plains of Ogrim. So let's try that. We're going to try to head northwest again. And get a 16, which is a success. We have no events. We can only move one hex because we started in the mountains, but we at least make it down. Plains of Og, whatever I just said it was. Rim. After hours of searching, we finally make it down into the plains of Ogrim. And now we have night. We need to try to camp. We only have a 25% chance of camping because of the bad weather. We do not camp successfully. The camping mishap that happens tonight. You begin to hear wolf howls nearby. You barely have time to reach for your sword before N wolves attack you. This is very in keeping with my previous Morkin experience, where camping is the Dark Souls of Morkin, it seems. Okay, wolves. Here we go, wolf. There we go, that is a wolf. The wolf is a resilient and cunning predator perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions. Its fur, a blend of silver and grey, provides camouflage against the snow-covered landscape. With keen senses and swift, silent movements, the wolf hunts in packs, their haunting howls echoing through the frozen silence of the wilderness. Known for their intelligence and teamwork, these majestic creatures roam the icy expanse with a primal grace, embodying both the beauty and the relentless spirit of Midnight's frozen domain. Okay, right, so these guys have 20 hit points. They have better melee than us, and they have pretty good defense value. I think we might be about to be torn apart by wolves, which would be a sad way to end this game, but I guess we'll see. Okay, 20 hit points. Or health points, I think, as the game technically calls them. Right, 20 hit points, 50 melee, 20 defense value, 70 perception. Oh, they're so perceptive. They can really see. Okay, right, opposed perception rolls. See who goes first. Got a 42, which is a success. They got an 85, which is a failure. We go first. So somehow we're able to reach for our weapons in time and bring them up to bear on these wolves. I got a 56, which is a miss. The wolf, we don't need to roll to see what it does. It just does damage. Okay. 35, the wolf hits and bites the Lord of Shadows for 4 damage. Let's just see, what are the rules on escaping combat? Because I feel I might want to escape this one. If you wish to flee during combat, you may attempt to do so on your turn instead of making a melee skill check. To flee successfully, you must pass a defense skill check. If you succeed, your opponent gets 1 free attack and may roll for damage if the attack hits. It's not great. Okay, my turn. No, it's the second wolf's turn now. 31 is a hit. 5 damage. Well, 4 because of the armor. We're going to get torn apart by wolves. 58 is a miss. Wolves. 34 is a hit. Okay, and then 62 is a miss. Right, so that's 4 damage, which is 3 damage. It's a shame I can't just like throw my companion at the wolves and run away. I think it is time to retreat, actually. So if we retreat, we will move back. Oh, if we retreat, we'll move back a hex. We'll be back in the mountains. Oh, no. We'll specifically be back in this hex, with the wolves essentially blocking the path. And we could try going around up this way, I suppose. Yeah, let's try retreating from the wolves. So a defense skill check, which is a 47. Alright, I'm going to try to retreat. I successfully retreat. Both wolves now get a free attack. Miss. Miss. Okay, we retreat from the wolves back into the mountains. That's unfortunate. So after hours of searching, we finally make it down to the plains of Ogrim. At night, we were attacked by a pair of wolves and chased back into the mountains. The plains are closed to us. Okay, we wake up bright and early on day 4, ready to try to climb out of these mountains again. Let's see what the weather is. Cross off another day to the end of the world. The weather is no effects. Ah, very nice. After 2 days of heavy snow, it's just merely unpleasantly cold again. Okay, what are we doing here? I think, so we have wolves here. There we go, 2 wolves. We can't travel through the mountains because Morkin will explode if he gets more fatigued. So we have to head down the east and then up through these plains instead. So let's try going southeast, I suppose. And let's see if we have any penalties for being up in the mountains here. Okay, we have a -10 to our roll because of the mountains. And we can only move 1 hex. So we can get down and that's it. So rolling against a 50 here. We succeed and we have an encounter. So we clamber down from the mountains and then we're going to get events 62. Which is event 45, The Blind Man. By the side of the road, you see a blind man sitting quietly. 2 travelers are approaching from the opposite direction. As they pass, you notice the blind man accidentally drops a ring, which falls to the ground with a faint clink. One of the travelers notices this, and without hesitation picks up the ring and discreetly pockets it. The blind man, unaware, searches the ground in vain, his hands patting the dirt. What do you do? Well, of course I confront the traveller and ask him to return the ring. What sort of evil person would do such a thing? You approach the traveller who took the ring and politely ask him to return it. Check your persuasion skill. I'm not completely unpersuasive. I have a 30 in persuasion. but I am unpersuasive in this case. If you fail, the traveller bursts into mocking laughter and tells you to leave him alone. You now have a choice. Continue on your way or confront the two travellers. If you choose to continue on your way, the incident remains unresolved. If you choose to confront them, prepare for a combat encounter against two opponents with the stats of bandits. If you defeat them, you retrieve the ring and return it to the blind man, who thanks you with a trembling voice. So this is a pure roleplay choice here, right? Like, the mechanically optimal choice is to just let these guys go, because there's no benefit to returning the ring. Let's look how tough bandits are compared to me. Like, they're about as tough as a wolf. I don't really want to let these guys go, but I'm not confident about my ability to take them out. Like, they have a better melee skill than me. Their defense value is marginally worse, but I think I'm gonna go for it. Let's confront the bandits. So, let's see. They have 18 hit points. $50 melee, 20 defense value, 40 perception. Need to recover some hit points at some point. How do we actually recover hit points? I don't... Yeah, yes, I remember. We get hit points by actually successfully managing to camp, which we've not done at all so far. Okay, let's do our opposed perception roll to see who goes first. I got a 21. They got a 30. I believe that means it goes to me because I got the lower roll. Yeah. Okay. Right. So let's look at these combat options again. So I've just been doing the standard attack, but there's also the desperate attack, which deals a bunch of extra damage, but I don't have any defense. I can also... Yes, I'm remembering the combat tactics now. I can aim for a weak spot, which skips my attack, but then means I don't have to worry about the enemy's armor. So I believe what I was doing previously, what I worked out was probably the optimal sort of combat tactic, was just every other turn I would aim for a weak spot, and on the turns when I'm not aiming, I would do a regular attack. I think that was the play. That was the good way of doing Morkin combat. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to aim for a weak spot. So I ignore my attack. I don't attack this turn, but next turn I ignore his armor. Ooh, hang on. No. I see. I think I was misinterpreting this in my last game. I was interpreting aim for a weak spot as it skips the enemy's armor, but it doesn't. It only skips their armor absorption value. It doesn't say it negates their defense value. Okay, so in that case, aim for a weak spot is significantly less good. Unless the target has good armor, which these guys don't have any armor. I think I'm going to go for a desperate attack. Maybe? Yeah, let's go for a desperate attack. So I want to roll above a 20, but equal to or below a 43. Not good odds, but whatever. Got a 24, which is a success, and I'm dealing 2d6 plus 2 I think I was forgetting my +1 damage in the previous fights. So that's 7 damage to the first one. But now I don't have any defense for their next attack, and it is their turn now. And do they have any special moves? No, not really. 48 is a hit. The desperate attack didn't make a difference, it was just a good hit. That's 4 damage, which becomes 3 damage. No, 3 damage. Bandit number 2. Misses. Okay, my turn. I guess I'll do another desperate attack. Why not? I could potentially kill bandit number 1 this round if I get a good hit and roll well for damage. But that's a big if. I did not manage to do that. Bandit misses. And bandit misses. My turn, another desperate attack. 15 misses. Bandit 1. Miss. Bandit 2. Miss. My turn. Miss. Bandit 1. Miss. No, hit. Because of the ignoring armor. So that's 4 points of damage. Bandit 2. Miss. Me. 29. Yep, that's a hit. That's 6, 7, 8 damage. Bandit 1. That's a hit. It's against Lord of Shadows now. Bandit 2. 55. Miss. Me, I'll do a regular attack this time. And miss. Bandit 1. Miss. Bandit 2. 29. Hits. 6 damage against me. Five damage because of the armor. Okay, my turn. That is a 36, which is a hit. Taking out Bandit 1. Okay, right. Bandit 2's turn. Miss. I'll do a desperate attack on Bandit 2. And miss. Bandit 2 gets a critical hit. Deals 6 damage, which is actually what it rolled for damage anyway. I'll do another desperate attack. And completely miss. Bandit misses. Me, another desperate attack. 39 is a hit. That's 5, 6, 7 damage. Bandit hits for 4 damage. I believe this is back on me again. No, it's on Lord of Shadows again. Now it's on me. Lord of Shadows is nearly dead. Do another desperate attack. 91, complete miss. 38, that's a very solid hit. That's so close to a critical hit, but it's a miss. Okay, the bandit only just missed. I miss. Bandit misses. I miss. Bandit hits. I swear I have like special weighted d10s that always roll like annoyingly high. Okay, 27. That is a hit. Okay, cool. That's, 5 damage on the bandits. So down to 6 hit points. Um, 39 is a hit. The Lord of Shadows is killed. So I lose my +3 to melee, +2 to defense. It lowers my defense value. I also lose a +1 to damage and a +2 to perception. Okay, so melee is back down to 40, defense value 22, perception 40. And it is now my turn. Miss. Bandit. Hits, but it's 1 damage, which is absorbed by my armor. I hit for 6 damage, which is exactly enough. Okay. Well, we lost a lot of shadows, but we killed 2 bandits. So, probably a fair trade, really. And we get to loot them. But yes, combat is definitely something that should be improved in Morkin. Let's see the alternative combat rules. I feel some of those misses should have actually been hits if we're using this alternative rule here, where so with the alternative rule, we just throw away the units digit of the defense value. So my defense value is like a 20 rather than a 22. And the enemy's is, well, also a 20. But the key thing is it turns a roll that matches to a success. So rather than me rolling below 20, a 20 would also be a success. So maybe there'd have been a few more marginal hits there. But don't really feel like it would have been enough to drastically shorten the combat. Anyway, bandits to loot. We've got 2 3s, which is 2 bandit sashes, whatever those are. Okay, so I'm down to 28 hit points. That's a bait that's over here. But anyway, I kill the bandits, and then we get back to wherever the event was. It was just the blind old man thanking me. We descend to the side of the mountain, only to witness 2 bandits stealing from a blind man. Outraged, we intervene and demand justice. The bandits slay the Lord of Shadows. And I slay them in revenge. In righteous vengeance. The blind man cowered and hid at the sounds of violence around him that he could not see. Okay, we've lost a companion. Not great. I don't really want to delve into a dungeon by myself. Maybe I want to go to the Keep of Dodrak and rest there. I'm just aware of time. Feels like we're on day 4, and if I go to the Keep of Dodrak, we've basically just moved. We start in the Tower of the Moon, so I end up in the Keep of Dodrak. We've just moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hexes. We've done like a day's journey in 4 days. But I think it's probably the best bet. Let's strike out in the direction of the Keep of Dodrak. Okay, so it's decent weather. We're on plains, so I'm rolling against an 80 for this. Yep. 1. That's a 99. And I got a 6, which is we veer 1 left. So instead of going here, we go here. Move a third hex. 82. We stay where we are. Okay, so that was afternoon. Now for evening, we might be able to make it to the keep. Okay, 1. 2. 3. Okay, so make it to the Keep of Dodrak. I make it to the Keep of Dodrak, a few miles to the south, several miles to the south. I can see the Tower of the Moon. I find it discouraging how little distance I have travelled these days. By now I should be I should be miles further north towards my destination. Towards my destiny. My first good sleep in days. So camping at a site. If you're in a citadel, keep, snow hall, or village, you do not need to roll for the camp skill check. You and your companions will each recover 10 HP and reduce fatigue to 0. Okay, I guess I'll start the morning by seeking here to see what I can do, and then I need to go start hurrying north. I've already lost too much time. I suppose I could potentially actually no, I guess going east is not really any shorter because of all these mountains in the way. I think probably the best bet is making for Lake Miro at this point, as it's all flat ground from here to there. And we're no longer traveling with someone who walks, so we should be able to make pretty good time. Okay, we wake up in the morning and need to check the weather. 6 is just generic weather. Let's mark off a day. Okay, let's seek here at this, is it Citadel? Keep? It's a keep, yeah. So let us consult the seek tables. 2. You are given D6 rations. You can sell your items or purchase any item from the equipment tables. Event 88. This event 88 isn't hyperlinked, but it is up here. But not here. Huh. Doomdark's insignias. As with many villages, keeps, and citadels throughout midnight, you are rewarded for each Doomdark insignia you deliver. The insignias are a symbol of Doomdark's fallen soldiers or agents, and their collection signifies your efforts against the Dark Forces. For each insignia you hand over, you are given 5 silver coins as a reward, a token of appreciation for your contributions to the ongoing struggle. We do not have any Doomdark insignias. Okay, right, equipment list. Let's go. Unless we don't have the village price table, or there's like a street market table. But these are for villagers, so I guess we can't sell the random crap we've got. If it just said equipment, I'm pretty sure. Let's double check that. Yeah, okay, so first I get D6 rations. 5 rations. You can sell your items or purchase any equipment from... Okay, I can sell my items. So I guess I maybe can sell the Morkin wing and leg and bandit sash. Okay, I guess bandit sashes, they do not have a value. You can't sell them, so I'm just going to hold on to that. But if I look at the market table, it does say village, but it said I could sell my things, so I'm going to sell my thing. Okay. Okay, they really want Morkin wings and Morkin legs here, so they're going to add 2 to the average price. It's going to be 5 each. So I got 13 silver coins, which is not bad. Is there anything useful I could get for 13 coins? It'd be really nice to get camping gear, but that costs 20. Yeah, maybe I'll just save up. Okay, so morning, I visit the markets. I visit the market and prepare for the journey ahead. Afternoon. So, morning was seek. We're in afternoon. It's going to be travel. Gotta start making time. Okay, we're going northwest, then northwest, then north. We are setting off from a plains, and it is decent weather, so I have a plus 20 to this check. So rolling against 80. Yep. 1. That's a 99. We veer off 1 to the right. So, I mean, I said I was going this way, so I guess I end up here now. And we have an event. Event 36. Which is event 48. Small figurine. During your travel, you encounter a group of 3 individuals examining the ancient midnight henges. They greet you warmly and share stories of their explorations, mentioning the mysterious powers believed to be held by the henges. One of them hands you a small wooden statuette, explaining, if you place this at a henge as an offering, its magic will heal all your wounds. Add a wooden idol to your backpack. If you choose to visit a henge with a wooden idol, Morkin will fully recover all hit points. The idol will then be removed from your inventory. Nice. Why did the font size change? There we go. Wooden idol. Okay. Right, so we have spent the afternoon and evening. No, just the afternoon traveling so far, right? Yeah, just the afternoon traveling. Okay, so we'll note that. We'll also spend the evening traveling. I set off north following the valley. Along the way, I bump into some strangers who give me a token to offer at a henge. Saying it will heal all my wounds. Right, let's spend the evening traveling as well. So I want to go northwest. So I think we'll kind of swing around like up here. So again, we are rolling against 80. So we have another event here. 25. Fall through ice. You find yourself walking on treacherously icy and extremely slippery ground. Each step is uncertain, and you can feel the slick surface threatening your balance. Make an athletics skill check. Ooh, we might be about to explore a dungeon. I have a 50 athletics. I'm pretty athletic, but not athletic enough. If you fail, lose your balance and slip, crashing hard onto the unforgiving ice. Morgan takes D6 damage from the fall. Okay, that's much less fun than falling into like an underground ice dungeon. 1 damage, okay. Could be worse. 37. 37. Okay, nursing my sore leg, I get up and continue on north. And then northwest. 80, exactly, that's a success. Whew. Okay, so I spend the rest of the day traveling. I have a bad fall, but thankfully do not injure. Thankfully don't have like a lasting injury. I continue traveling for the rest of the day. At one point I slip on some ice. And nearly injure my leg. But thankfully it is just a bruise. Okay, I guess I do injure my leg. And injure my leg, but thankfully it is just a bruise and quickly fades. Okay, is tonight the night I'm going to actually successfully camp? I don't think it is. Nope, got a 60. 3 is the wolf attack. It's either the wolf attack or the muskrat attack. I'm gonna re-roll if it's one I've already got. It's the muskrat attack. Let's just re-roll that. 7 is a rock slide. Okay. I feel that I've messed up, and that camp, you really need camp to be like a high skill. I mean, I've got it made out of my dex and intelligence, so it is one of my highest, but it feels that not pumping up camp is really punishing in this system. In fact, I'd say there are two skills in Morkin that kind of punch far above their weight in terms of how essential they are. Orientation is the big one, obviously, because you need to roll orientation every time you move between hexes to avoid getting lost. And there's a lot of hexes, even on the shortest possible routes. So if you have a bad orientation, you're going to have a bad time. But camp is also a real big deal. You need to camp every day, and if you fail to camp, you will not recover hit points, and in fact, you'll be more injured. Okay, d6 minus 2 hit point damage. Okay, minimum 1, so that is 1 damage. So I think I need to buy camping gear as a matter of priority. Okay, right. I camp, but the ground turns out to be uncertain. Yep, I guess, yeah, unstable. And there was a collapse in the night. Yeah, I guess that's enough. There's a collapse in the night. Let's keep going. So we'll do, let's see, we're 2 hours and 48 minutes into the stream. We'll do one more day, I suppose, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so a new day. Let's cross off day 5. Let's roll for the weather. 8. No effects. Okay. Oh, that's good. For a moment I feared it was heavy snow again. So I think we're just continuing north. Yeah, let's try to make it to Lake... I don't know, we can make it to this tower here, the Tower of Koroth. Let's see, is the tower the numbered location, or is it the thing above it? Let's just have a look at the special locations list. I'm not going to read the details, but I want to know which hex it is. Ruins. Okay, right. So it is the ruins north of the tower. But yeah, maybe kind of go here and then like cross the mountains to the tower and check out what's in these ruins. There's also a village here we could... I guess we don't... Oh, I didn't mark off a ration. But yeah, I guess we don't really need to resupply because we're doing pretty well in terms of supplies. Like the only real thing that we desperately need is camping gear, but we can't afford that yet. Okay, let's try going north. That's a critical success, which means we can add 1 to our orientation. Nice. It's 2, and we have an encounter. It's 20. I think I should roll that properly. 22. Not that table. Hang on. I feel like I've missed something in the travel procedure. I think I'm supposed to roll for both encounters and events. Let's have a look. No, it's only Doom Dark encounters. Let's just skim through this whole thing to make sure. Yeah, I think it's okay. Yes, once we get after day 10, we'll start rolling for Doom Dark encounters, which will be the potential baddies we encounter when we enter a new hex. But we don't roll for non-Doom Dark encounters on entering a hex. Anyway, got a 22 in the plains, which is event 16. Fighting Morkin. Okay, after all that, we do actually have a combat encounter. Without warning, you hear a high-pitched buzzing growing louder around you. Suddenly you find yourself surrounded by N+1 Morkin. That is 2 Morkin. Bloodthirsty insects drawn by the scent of your blood. Their sharp, needle-like proboscises glisten as they circle and prepare to strike. I don't like glistening proboscises. That's not a very pleasant image. Okay, 2 Morkin. Here we go. So these guys have 10 hit points, 45 melee, 20 defense value, 30 perception, and glistening proboscises. They go first. Okay. Miss. Uh, 45 is just a hit. They're doing attack number 4, which is the normal attack, which is 2 damage, result 1 of which is absorbed, so that is 1 damage. Okay, they're not that tough, I guess. Right, okay, I'll do sure, why not, I'll do Desperate Attack. And completely miss. 99, it'd be hard to miss more than that. The only worst miss would be a fumble. Well, that's a miss. And that's a hit. No, it's a miss. It's only the next attack where I don't have my armor. I don't have my defense, so that's a miss. Okay, right. I'll do another Desperate Attack. That's a 100. That is a fumble. Let's turn to the combat fumbles. Six. Incredibly, you injure yourself severely, taking D6 damage. 1 damage. Okay, but I have 1 point of armor, so I guess I don't hurt myself after all. Okay. Miss. 39. That's a hit. It's doing attack 4, which is the normal attack. It is D6, which is 2 here, minus 2. Minimum 1 damage. So it's doing 1 damage, but I have 1 armor, so it doesn't hurt me. Okay, right. My turn again. Do another Desperate Attack. Why not? It's another complete miss. Man, only having 40 melee skill is really bad. Miss. 34. Hit. But again, it's no damage. I feel like a successful hit should always do at least 1 damage. Miss. Miss. Hits. Right, so I got a 6, so it's a 4, so it's a 3. Okay, 3 damage. It's a critical hit. Five. Deal the maximum possible damage with your weapon, adding any applicable bonuses, and get an extra attack this turn. Okay, so I was doing like the extra special attack, which deals an additional d6 plus 1 damage. So I'm doing 2d6 plus 1 damage, maximized, which is, you know, enough to kill this one. And then I immediately make a second attack. So I just explode one of them and swing around at the other and miss. Miss. 26. Hit. Okay, that's 6 damage. Miss. 29. Yes, that is above its defense value. That's enough to kill it. Okay, right. It's 2 more creatures dead. 2 more experience points. You know, getting ever closer to leveling up. Very slowly. And 2 bits of loot. We have another wing. And, oh, I guess we sold them. We now have a wing and a leg. Okay, that was morning. I think we also had 1 more hex to move. I head north. In the middle of my journey, I'm attacked by Morkin. But I dispatched them. Right, I think I have 1 more hex I can move in the morning, so let's do that. Yes, that is a success, but we have another event. This is a 21. Errant Market Caravan. While travelling, you encounter a bustling street market on the move. The merchants explain they are part of a travelling market, buying and selling goods between villages, keeps, and citadels. However, due to the increasing dangers in the region, they are currently fleeing southward in search of safer lands. Despite their hurried state, the merchants are more than willing to trade with you. They offer a variety of goods and wares from their wagons. You may buy or sell any item from the equipment tables. I don't think I want anything from the equipment tables. It would be nice if I could sell these things, this Morkin wing and leg, and pick up a tent, but they're not interested in those things, I guess. Yeah, okay. Alright, let's note this down as well. Before I... as I break for lunch... Oh. Yeah, as I am approaching... What am I trying to say here? It's like towards the end of my morning's walk. Let's see. As I am thinking of breaking for lunch. Just taking a break. Think of taking a break. I hear approaching wagons. And look around a boulder to see a merchant's caravan heading south. They have useful goods. But alas, I do not have funds. Okay, afternoon. I want to get to the tower today, if possible. So we're going to go north, north, northeast. North. 84. That is a fail. And we veer one to the left. So we go there. Okay, let's try going northeast. That's a success. Okay. Right, so that was the afternoon. The Tower of Koroth, is that the name of it? Yes, I make for the Tower of Koroth, but as I get closer to the mountains... it becomes hidden from my sight. And I only realise I veered off in the wrong direction. When I get far enough away to see it again. Okay, so I'm not going to make it there. I could make it there today because I'm setting off from a plains hex. And it's the hex you set off from that determines how far you can travel, not the actual hexes you're travelling through. So I can still go 1, 2, and get there. So yeah, let's do that. Let's try northeast. 1. I'm gonna get 2 fatigue from ending up there. And 2. Okay, so 2 fatigue, and we make it to the Tower of Koroth. Sadly, we won't have time to check it out today. Is this going to be my first good night's sleep in the wilds? No. It is the worst night's sleep. 6 on a camp mishap. The area where you camped is very wet and windy, preventing you from making a fire and leaving you to endure the damp and cold. Add 3 fatigue. Okay, I am now incapable of moving because I am overly fatigued. I mean, I can still check out the tower in this hex, but I cannot move any further. Rain and wind prevent me from starting a fire. I have a terrible night's sleep. And wake up not rested at all. I do not feel capable of going on today. Okay, I think that's a sensible place to leave it then. Let's see, we've checked off the right number of days, so we'll start morning of day 7. Let's move all these little tokens off. We'll need to determine the weather and whatnot. But I think it's going okay. So we did have a pretty slow start. Where we kind of headed up over towards here because we wanted to get to this snow hall, but then they got turned around by wolves. But I think we made up for that a bit. Yeah, considering we'll start on day 7 and we're about a third of the way there, I guess. It'll hopefully leave some time to get to the Tower of Doom, get the thing, and bring it back to Lake Miro. I guess we'll find out. Okay, well, we'll leave it here. We'll pick up Morkin on Friday and see where we get to. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.